The morning began like any other, quiet, calm, and completely unaware of the chaos waiting just a few steps outside my front door. I walked out with my coffee still steaming, expecting nothing more than the usual peace that came with sunrise, but instead I found Karen, the reigning monarch of our HOA, bent over the driver's side door of my truck with a brass master key clutched in her hand like she was disarming a bomb. She twisted and jabbed that key into the lock with an intensity usually reserved for national emergencies, muttering something about compliance and security protocols, as if she were conducting a federal inspection. I stood there silently, just watching her wrestle with my truck like it had personally offended her, until she suddenly spun around, eyes wide, scandal painted across her face. Before I could say a word, she lifted her phone and dialed 911 right in front of me, her voice dripping with self-righteous urgency as she told the dispatcher that a suspicious and non-compliant male was refusing an HOA-mandated vehicle inspection. She pointed at me dramatically, completely unaware she was reporting the county sheriff. And that was the moment I knew this day would become a story, not an inconvenience, a story with layers of absurdity waiting to unfold. Her voice cracked with intensity as she described my truck as if it were some rogue machine threatening the peace of the entire neighborhood, and I stood there listening, sipping my coffee slowly, letting her bury herself deeper into her narrative. When the responding deputy arrived and greeted me with a casual "morning, sheriff," Karen froze like computer locking up mid-update, and I watched her face go from confidence to panic in a matter of seconds. She stumbled through excuses, claiming this was a misunderstanding, insisting she had community's safety in mind, but embarrassment poured out of her with every word. To most people, that moment would have been enough to stop the madness. But Karen wasn't most people. Humiliation didn't end things for her. It ignited something. And sure enough, the next morning, the neighborhood woke up to pink flyers plastered on every mailbox, each one decorated with glitter and panic, warning everyone about a non-compliant vehicle threat. According to her, my truck now posed a danger to driveway harmony and neighborhood stability. Neighbors knocked on my door holding her flyers like they were radioactive, asking if any of this was real, but I just shook my head and told them the truth. Karen had officially launched a personal crusade. It didn't stop there. She escalated faster than a storm on open water, sending me bogus violations for everything, from the angle of my truck's shadow to the reflectiveness of the chrome on the front grille. She even claimed the sun bouncing off my windshield was intimidating. I documented everything quietly, building a binder thicker than a phone book, because with people like Karen, you never confront them immediately. You just let them talk themselves into the kind of trouble only evidence can solve. The real turning point came when she demanded I provide the HOA with a spare key to my truck for emergency access. I told her absolutely not, which apparently activated a new level of determination inside her. That night she paced in front of my driveway writing notes, measuring distances, and whispering rule numbers that didn't exist. Then came the ultimate escalation. A bright yellow wheel clamp she locked onto my truck like she was punishing it for bad behavior. She even slapped on a laminated sign declaring it impounded by HOA authority, as if she had any legal right to immobilize a law enforcement vehicle. When I confronted her, she stood tall, arms crossed, chin high, announcing that my refusal to obey her invented rules had forced her to take drastic action for the safety of the neighborhood. I told her to remove it immediately. She refused. So I called non-emergency dispatch, and when another deputy arrived, Karen beamed with confidence, until he informed her she had committed vehicle interference. Her face twisted, her voice cracked, and she sputtered about community protection. But the deputy ordered her to remove the clamp or face charges. She reluctantly unlocked it, muttering about rogue vehicles and unfair oppression as she dragged the boot away like a wounded soldier. But she wasn't done. Not even close. Days later, she delivered glossy packets titled the Community Vehicle Harmony Initiative, a fake program she invented complete with fake rules, fake fees, and a QR code linked to her personal PayPal. She handed them out like they were legal documents, insisting everyone had comply. Neighbors started coming to me with their packets, their fines, their complaints. The HOA board finally reached its breaking point. They called for a meeting, one Karen wasn't prepared for. The community center filled with frustrated residents holding months of nonsense citations. Karen barged in wearing a blazer and a fake earpiece, declaring she would run the meeting, but the board shut her down immediately. Watching her face crumble as people openly challenged her authority was something I'll never forget. When the board invited me up to speak, I laid out everything. The master key incident, the fake fines, the fraudulent organization, the wheel clamp, the PayPal account, the harassment, the illegal documents. People gasped, whispered, shook their heads in disbelief. Karen tried interrupting, shouting about vehicle anarchy and disruptive silhouettes. But by then the room had turned completely against her. The board called for a vote to remove her as HOA president, and almost every hand shot up instantly. Karen stood alone, one hand raised against dozens. When it was over, she pointed at me and declared dramatically, "This isn't over. You can't escape harmony," before storming out of the building with enough force to rattle the door frame. For a while, the neighborhood breathed easier. People washed their cars without fear. Kids played in driveways. No one woke up to surprise citations. But Karen wasn't wired to walk away quietly. Even after a cease and desist order was issued against her, she found ways to hover on the edge of relevance. Like standing at the property line late at night just staring at my cabin as if mourning her lost authority. The last message she ever sent came in a glitter-lined box with a note that read, "This is restraint. You're lucky I'm choosing peace." That was Karen's version of letting go. Eventually, she moved 30 miles south to a new housing development where she immediately filed paperwork to become president of a brand new HOA. I didn't warn them. Some lessons can only be learned the hard way. But here, in my neighborhood, peace finally returned. And every time I step outside with my morning coffee, I glance at my truck, grateful that it no longer needs protection from a master key and a clipboard carrying hurricane disguised as a person.